it kind of becomes relevant, but at the time you're just like, ugh, go away. Hello strangers, I'm H. Ravenna and I will be doing a review of the book House of Leaves by Maxie Sakalbach. Danielewski? I don't know how to say people's names. So, this is meant to be like a horror, creepy book. It was hyped to me that people read it and were like terrified or real freaked out by it. But now I know it's just a lot of nonsense. Like, it's just a book filtered by its own hype. So I don't know the real history of this book really. About a few years ago, I discovered it and everyone was talking about how great it was and how creepy it was, and like the opening is so cool, like, because it says this book is not for you, and you're like, yes it fucking is, you don't tell me what to do. Of course I want to read it. I buy it, and years and years later I finally read it. The thing is, I didn't find this book scary, I didn't find this book creepy. Some aspects were interesting, like the main actual story idea was interesting. Other things just drag this book for like no reason. You know, it is impressive. What the writer has done is impressive with all this book and the time and the made up notation stuff, and like you don't know what's real and you don't know what's real. It's like very well done with the idea. It's like, could this be a real thing? No, it's not. It's not a real thing. I know it's not a real thing. But it could be. It's very much written really well and capturing like how like textbooks are for film theory, or like just how generally people do write about films, whether they're fictional or documentary, because it kind of walks that line. And sometimes you do feel like, well, this is a real thing, and that's impressive. But I don't know, like what happens would be creepy if it happens to you. And it's interesting how we kind of have. And then we have Johnny Triton, who's just like this unreliable narrator. You can't trust anything he says, and he's like very much says he just makes stuff up. And he tells you he makes stuff up. And then, I don't know, it's like, and then you know he has a history of mental illness in his family and stuff, so. I think that's the thing, I kind of read it as what Johnny's saying isn't to do with what happened about the book. He's sadly facing mental illness. Is what I think. Is that a spoiler? I don't know. I think you'll read this book. Definitely, depending on who you are. I think also it doesn't help that I'm a woman. You know. This book is not very kind to women. But like Johnny Triton's writing. I mean, all the women in this book are reduced to sex objects. And even if you're kind of reading the line that it's in the males, even if you're like arguing it's because like the males don't see them as anything more and there is more to them, because like, you know, sometimes they just like email the editor, but I don't know, it's just like when that's all there is to it, it's kind of whatever. I mean, it's an interesting story, but I didn't find this creepy. I think maybe that's one of the issues. It was hyped to the T to me. It was hyped to the T for me, and there wasn't anything there. And also, I just had a real hard time physically being able to read this book. I'm dyslexic, like, I don't know how. I haven't been checked in years. I didn't read it all until I was like 12, so that kind of dyslexic. But I also could read when I was 5. It's a weird, mysterious type of dyslexia. Like the house in this book. It set off my dyslexia a lot because of just how much text it was, and like, and it's the format sometimes goes into interesting cases, because like, you know, sometimes it's just like tons of text, and then other times you've got like that, like a lot of different formats of text and like things going on, and like I'm doing it quickly. Stuff like that, and like there's almost completely blank pages in this book, so as well, but like it was just super hard for me to physically read, and that definitely affected my enjoyment. So I don't know, maybe if I wasn't dyslexic I would have liked it better, but because of how hard it was to read, and sometimes, especially the things that were really hard to read, weren't interesting bits. So, I don't really know. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars because it's impressive, it's intriguing. The actual story that's going on, like both kind of sets of, all the sets of stories are interesting, and I do like the idea, so props for the idea. I just didn't really enjoy it, which is a shame. So, I guess I just want to like give a neutral review of House of Leaves, because I only ever saw like real positive booming reviews of this book. But it's like a real hard book to read, and it's like a real hard book to like get through. It's definitely not a book that you can just sit and read. It's written like a textbook, and you'll have to read it like a textbook. I mean, actually I've read some amazingly interesting and quick to read textbooks, but this wasn't one of them. It kind of reminds me a lot of like those indie films directed by like white cis straight male directors, and all those other like types love it. But if you're not one of them, you don't love it, and you're just like, I wish she had something to say more than she has nice boobs. I guess this book just wasn't for me after all. You know, 'cause the whole dyslexia and being somebody who was raised on horror since she was born. I mean, that wasn't a conscious decision by my parents. They kind of had to go with it. Hey, it was right, but like, I still think it's an interesting book and effort, and I would definitely read other books with a similar format. I still like the idea, I didn't enjoy it. I also don't think it helped that sometimes like parts just went off randomly seeming tangents, and then there would just sometimes be like ticks of nothing after something really interesting happened in the plot wise. The thing is, it's written like a film kind of textbook, but it talks in narration, and like films, like a film textbook would never do that. You don't talk about films completely in the order, like that's like 101. Don't tell me what happens. You write it as though the person has watched this film several times and knows exactly what happens from the top of their head. Yeah, and this didn't, but I don't know, maybe a part of the reason is that people just like were just so impressed by this. And as the light leaves me, I too leave you. So, I will see you weirdos next time, where I won't be trapped in this corridor. Farewell. Makeup's fun. Oh, horror stories of film. And the thing is, it's impressive what Mac's like. Let's just call him Mac. It's impressive what Mac. I hate calling writers by I hate calling people by their first name when I don't actually know them.